All right, 4:32 and you're live.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. I'd like to call to order the Planning Committee meeting, October 26th, 2020. We'll do a quick roll. Len Carson.
Here.
Mark Drennick.
Here.
And Dave Risberger, I'm here. Mark Davies, as I said, will be joining us. And we also have Chief Brenner and Gary Herzig attending here. So the first item here, I don't know that we're going to necessarily be able to address. Maybe Gary's got some info for us. The service authorization entrance sign discussion. The last we had it was that Greg was going to do some pricing out of the smaller signs for us. But I hadn't heard if he'd been able to complete that. Gary, do you have any info on that? Any update?
No, I have no information.
Okay. Unless anybody wants to add anything else, I'd say let's just postpone it. Maybe we could bring it up for discussion at the next council meeting. Is that something we want to do, or do you want to wait until the next planning committee meeting? If Greg is at the next council meeting.
I think it would do us well just to find out what the prices are first before we move forward, though, right?
Oh yeah, I'm not suggesting that we'd be going forward with anything, but we could see if Greg has any info. But if you'd rather wait till the next planning committee meeting, I'm fine with that.
So we're volunteering Mark Davies to do all of that?
Yep, we're all set. Thanks, everybody.
Glenn.
How you doing, Mark? Make note that Mark Davies is here. Mark, we were just saying with the service authorization entrance signs, the last we had discussed, Greg was going to price out some things for the smaller signs for us, but he's on vacation till tomorrow. So we're just going to postpone it to the next committee meeting. I don't think there's any rush on this. So next item, Water Street dumpsters. Mark Drennick, what I have written down, correct me if I'm wrong, is you were suggesting a Zoom meeting with the various haulers and building owners to figure out a solution.
Yep.
And either you volunteered or you got volunteered.
No, I volunteered.
Okay.
So I sent out correspondence, and Steve Yearley got me a list of all of the various landlords and their various contacts. Sent out an email and went back and forth a little bit around when we might all get together. And I finally had decided I'm just going to say, we're going to do this Wednesday, the 4th at 2 p.m. And at this point, we've got a couple of folks that are on board for that. And then the rest, I'm going to have to call and see if I can get them pulled into it. Greg's been on vacation. I haven't talked to him about whether or not he'll be available. I suspect we'll be able to figure it out one way or the other. The only thing I don't have is a good contact at Casella. I thought it was Lonnie, and I can't find that email or at all for, what am I spacing? What's the other hauler's name?
Hold on, I might have it. Logan's.
Yes, geez. I live in their house.
Oh,
This is I live in the Logan's old house. So anyway, whatever.
Foundation with him too while you're on the phone with him then.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so that's where we're at. I'm looking at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, the 4th.
Wednesday.
The 4th at 2 p.m. We've got a couple of people who have said, yes, I'm going to see what I can do about getting at least a few more people by way of coercing them with a telephone call. And I'll, does anybody have a good contact up at Casella or at Logan's?
I
Gary?
do. We license them in the city, so I can provide you with the information and I'll get that to you in an email.
That's terrific. And then when Greg is back, and he's back, what, tomorrow, Mayor? Or Kerry, either?
I think it may be Wednesday, but I'm not positive.
Wednesday. Okay, well, that gives us still a full week.
Still enough time, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to pull something together, even if it's not the full-blown meeting. At least we get the folks together enough to generate a conversation that takes us to where we need to go. So that's where we're at.
All right. Any questions for Mark? Mark, I just want to say thank you for taking this one on. This has been, it's not an easy thing. There's been issues for years back there, and I'm hoping that you're able to bring forward a good solution.
Well, no guarantees, but we will give it our best shot. Thanks,
Yep.
Dave.
Okay, next thing is the crosswalk. This was something that we brought up. Shoot, where'd my file go here? This is the Main Street mid-block crosswalk between Ford and Dietz. Chief Brenner said he was going to look into how much jaywalking happens in that point, and he was thinking it would be a good job to give an intern, a student intern. So I had a note that we were going to check back in the fall to see where we were with this, and I don't think luckily we're not pressured to make a change right now, because the D Street lofts they haven't even broken ground yet. But I think once they build, we may potentially see more issues there. But Chief, any updates?
We did not take on any interns to help with that this year, just because of the whole,
I was afraid that was going
mess.
to happen. Yeah.
yeah, and we're still kind of a little apprehensive for the springtime or the next semester doing that. I did research our records and our call volume. We have absolutely no calls regarding much of anything there in that nature at all, as far as people, jaywalking, complaints of jaywalking or car pedestrian accidents or anything there. The only thing we've had in that area is parking complaints in the alley and stuff like that, but nothing related otherwise with it. Just kind of talking to myself, some other officers, we notice people crossing there sometimes. I've probably done it myself a few times, just because it is a fairly narrow place with the two bump outs or whatever you call them, I guess. It's, I don't know, it's one of those things again that maybe with with Greg, with some ideas of traffic flow might be a good answer to ask on that. I don't know. I don't think it would be too much to put a crosswalk there. I think we might have to remind people to stop for people crossing, which most people do, so it's fairly slow anyways. But it's, again, something to look at. So any hard data, I guess the best I can say as far as hard data is we don't have any issues there. Put it that way.
Well, it sounds like there's no hard data right now. There's
Well, yeah,
nothing.
right. Well, the data is zero.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
if that's data or not, I don't know.
I think this might be a case where there's not a problem for the solution, but I could see this becoming a problematic potentially down the road. So I mean, I'm just going to keep this on the back burner in my own brain.
Right.
So if we have to discuss it later, we just remember this. But it doesn't sound like, from what you're saying, that we really have an issue, and it'd be a whole lot of work to do something that's really not necessary right now.
Right. I'll certainly keep an eye and ear out for any problems we have there along those lines. It'll just ring, I read all our activity, and if I ever read anything along those lines there, I'll make sure to note it. But until then,
Okay. Mark?
So one of the things that I've noticed.
Oh, wait, Mark. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Mark Davies, you were muted when you started talking. Mark Drenick, I didn't see your hand go up. I only saw Mark Davies. So how about this? Mark Drenick, you started talking. Go ahead. Mark Davies, we'll get back to you in a second.
I was just going to say that it seems that people are stopping more often than not to let pedestrians cross the street, no matter where you are, even as you're standing at a stoplight. And I don't know if it's just an anecdotal observation, or if there's something maybe more to it than that. But if we were to put, even as we're starting to look at what happens with the lofts on Dietz and the potential redirection of pedestrian traffic and so forth, if we just had a couple of signs there that said, please stop for pedestrians, even though it's not a legit crosswalk, that is a place where people do cross habitually at that, point, that it might be something that would, it's not enough of one thing and it's too much of another thing, but it might be what we could consider.
Something to think about for sure.
Mark Davies?
Mark,
Yeah, Chief, I was just going to say, as you're kind of keeping your eyes on that intersection, if there's any other intersections or places within the city that come to light, maybe if you could let us know that. Places that might be problematic or need traffic calming techniques of some sort, that'd be real helpful.
Am I the only one that's, Mark Davies' voice is dropping off? Yeah, your volume is going like this.
And actually, for what it's worth, I've noticed that the last couple of times that I've been on a Zoom with you, Mark, is that you kind of up and down and round and round.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what's causing it. There's nothing I can visibly see on my end. So
yeah,
Yeah, it just did it again. It's something with your mic. Maybe if you unplug the headphones, will it?
how's that?
try it.
Right there is fine.
Yeah.
We'll let you know the more you talk. How about that? When you don't have
What's
them
that?
on. We'll let you know if it's changed, if you leave them out for a few minutes. Because
Got
it
it.
may be the headphones.
Might pick up a lot of folks walking into the park.
Okay. Okay. Do we have anything else on crosswalks? Okay. Does anybody have any other topic? I'd like to move into an exec session. But before we do that, do we have any other topics anybody wants to bring up?
Are we going to talk about the economic developer
That's-
or that information that Gary sent us?
I wanted to make a motion to move into exec session just to discuss a personnel issue. Do I have a second? And then we have to figure out how we have a second. So now we have to figure out how to do an exec session here.
I can make that happen for you. Everybody but myself and the chief, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Carrie.
You're welcome. All right, you should have something popping up.
So I guess it's you and I, Carrie.
Just you and I. That's a song.
Yeah. Have you, I don't know if this is really the place.
You're still live, so
Yeah, no, I was just gonna ask about first night applications, if they've come through.
nothing yet. It's early for them though, in all honesty.
Well,
So-
yeah, I'm on that committee and we've been talking about it, so they're coming. I just don't think details have been worked out yet.
So they're doing first night. Are they doing the event in the park as well?
Well, they're not doing a parade or the traditional. They are
Correct.
doing the Festival of Lights.
That's going to be really nice.
Yeah, it's really picking up some steam. It should be. I really think it's going to be nice too. Everyone's really excited about it.
Yeah.
I
You
just
don't-
know some of the logistics haven't necessarily been worked out yet, which is what they're working on. It's going to be fun.
It is. We did a nighttime trick or treat at another location, and just they have the ability to drive through, and that's really
It
you're
is-
socially distanced. You're still able to enjoy at least some spirit of the holiday.
You're warm. Warm. Yeah. So, no, it'll, everyone's really excited. They'll be coming shortly, I think.
Good.
That agenda went quick.
It went really quick. Did not. I would hope that all meetings would go like that, but
Well, if they did, we wouldn't have them.
yeah. Forgot to put up my little. Thing so that people know they're in session.
I'm gonna turn my stuff off.
I'm with you.
We all make it back? Everybody but Mark Davies.
Mark Davies is the only one missing, and he's not even appearing on the call any longer.
He was so fed up with his computer. He dropped out. Oh, man. Let's give him a second to rejoin. There we go. Sorry, Mark, I can imagine your frustration right now.
It gets better.
So,
Which part, the frustration or the technology?
or the problems with the technology. So, okay, so where do we want to take this discussion?
Well, first off, where are we at with the website, Gary?
Good question, Len. Glad you asked that. There was a bit of a delay in getting the staff together to meet with Revise and go through all of the things. They're asking for a lot of information from the staff. So with all that was going on, there was a bit of delay. That said, there was a get together last week to go over everything that Revise needs, and that was all put together, and there is a meeting with Revise with the staff scheduled for, I think, this week. So it's moving forward now. It took a little longer than it should have, but now we're moving ahead.
So while you're having those discussions, can you mention the other service to see if they will, if they're going to work well together, the local intel company?
Certainly.
Did anybody get any pricing on what they would charge to put that information together, the Intel group?
No, we can contact them. They did have what they claimed was a 1 free year for communities under 25,000. Again, I always take those things with a grain of salt. So I'd be happy to call them and chat with them and get more information. Again, I just received that today. It caught my eye. I forwarded it. It looked like it had some value to it, but I'd be happy to follow up with them and find out more.
I have to admit, though, Gary, I mean, I liked what I saw, except I couldn't help but notice the number of grammatical errors in their advertisement, which I wouldn't want to use that as a way to not follow up with them, though. I'd want to still follow up, but it gets my red flags flying there.
Well, that's what happens when you deal with a company in Nigeria, I guess.
I do know a lot of the information that they were showing that they can put on the website is already out there. Some of that demographic info. So, but if they can compile it for us,
yeah, I'm not in any way, recommending them or saying that, I know that they're a good outfit, but I'd be happy to follow up. I think the concept, whether that company is good or not, I like the concept. I think it's.
That's where I'm at. I like the concept.
Same here.
Agreed.
Okay.
Mark Davies is raising his hand.
Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me now?
Jotting down notes.
Okay. Whole different system here. My wife's system. My apologies for that. So 2 points I'd like to make with regard to our thinking about this kind of business.
Mark, it's still going up and down. Sorry. Is
Brand
this
new
a
computer.
SUNY issued computer, or is it your own computer?
I just bought this computer because I can't use my SUNY issued computer, and it's brand new.
We see you have different headphones. Is that?
Yep, trying to use these, hoping that will work out. Is it not helping?
No, it happened with whether you had the headphones in or not. It's like the mic itself is cutting in and out.
Yeah, it's honestly what it's doing is it's cycling. If you can hear, oh, you can't hear me now.
I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so it's cycling. So you have a low ebb and then a
Yeah.
lot of volume, and then it rolls back down to a low ebb and then a lot of volume. So it's going. You've got a cycle. So it's probably because of that. It's something that's fairly repairable. What kind of computer did you buy?
I
Could
don't
you
know
show
if I
us that
should.
ag- Could you show us that again, Mark, how that works?
Well, I'll try to do what I can since it obviously seems to be a computer glitch.
Yeah.
So the
One-
2 points.
I've got something that, well, one quick thing about it, Mark. If you want to swing by later today or before our next meeting, you can try, I've got a mic here that would plug into your computer through the USB port. It'll bypass the onboard mic of your computer, and you could at least eliminate what the issue is, if it's the mic that's built in or it's something else. So if your sound's good with this, then it's your onboard mic, and there's an easy solution to bypass the problem temporarily anyway. But go
All right,
ahead.
well,
Sorry.
I'll have to look into something then, and maybe I'll grab that from you. I'd like to try to at least get these 2 points out. Hopefully you can at least hear me through this cycle. My apologies. One, I think that this problem of approaching this kind of economic development, I think we need to look at this holistically. We can't look at it in a vacuum about trying to attract businesses. We need to look at our housing markets. We need to look at what our codes might be and what our kind of land use laws might be, and take a more comprehensive look. That's one. And then two, I keep thinking, Mark, and you kind of inspired this idea with the work that's been going on with the marketing committee, is that maybe we need to look at having a committee or some kind of standing group that would be responsible for doing long-term marketing and kind of attracting businesses to our area as one solution to this. And I hope you could hear at least most of that point.
All of it.
And let's not forget that this is work that Otsego now is supposed to be doing for us. And I think we need to drag them into the conversation to find out if they're not doing it, why not? And because, that is their mission. I mean, I realize they represent the entire county, but we are a significant part of the business activity of this county.
Mark?
Yeah, just was going to echo what the mayor said before he said it, which is they do represent the entire county, and they've got the same issue, frankly, that the Otsego County Chamber of Commerce has, which is the work that they do in Oneonta winds up with arched eyebrows in Richfield Springs or Cooperstown or Unadilla or whatever it may be, around the fact that they feel like they aren't getting the same amount of attention. The other thing is that they tend to think in terms of industrial park, I think that they do in any way, usage of our spaces for industry or, whatever, and not necessarily, I don't believe in a fashion of how can we fill what amounts to a space that might take 6 employees, or, it's kind of that micro enterprise, filling of the potential of Oneonta's second and third floors. And for me, I feel like that's a major piece that I don't believe anyone was really looking at.
Well, Mark, I'll tell you, when Jody arrived here, his comments were that his focus was going to be on helping our small businesses.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be focused on big industrial complexes.
But
And
my point is
IDAs can focus on housing as well. So, I mean, I don't know why we're not getting a lot of support from them, but I think we certainly need to ask.
Do we have any meeting lined up with him? Didn't we discuss having that before? Gary?
I think we did, and maybe I dropped the ball on that. Was I supposed to ask Jody to come to one of our meetings?
I
I
think
think
at some point he was supposed to come to our common council meeting.
Okay, then I apologize. I dropped the ball on that then. So I will go back and let me write that down right now and ask him. Tell me before I ask him what I should ask him for. Do you want him to give a little presentation first of what the IDA has been up to lately? Because honestly, I haven't been in communication with them.
I think we
Any
should
questions.
I think we should also he should give us a rundown, especially since there's a lot of new council members. Give us a quick presentation of what the goal and the role of the county IDA is, and how it relates to economic development in the city of Oneonta. And then give us an update of what he's actually doing for the city of Oneonta.
Okay, I'll try to shoot for the second council meeting in November if Jody's available. First council meeting in November. I expect to have Dennis Craig attend. So we'll shoot for the second if that's good for everybody.
Works for me. Okay, what are we missing here? Is there any other part of this discussion we want to have now, or do we want to wait until
Yeah, David.
to go now? Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so we had provided questions to you, or we're going to provide questions to you that we might share with one another, with the potential of then maybe having a consensus develop as to what we want to find out in solicitation of other municipalities in and around, or as far as we want to go with it, for cities that are somewhat similar in either, you know, their size or their connection to colleges or whatever it may be, as Oneonta. Where do we go with that? Do we still want to provide you with questions and then get back, generate a consensus, or should we just begin, asking? Should we begin making these phone calls?
You know, I've been going back and forth with this since we had our last discussion, and I mean, we certainly can go out and make the phone calls, but I feel like I don't have enough data of what we're doing currently, especially without having a real honest conversation with Jody at Otsego Now, because I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed at the job that they've been doing so far for the city. It doesn't, if they're doing a lot, we just don't see it. I mean, if you want to go ahead and if we want to compile the questions we have and figure what specifically we're going to ask and then make phone calls, I'm okay with that. But I still feel like there's this big missing piece that we don't know what we're doing currently for economic development right now.
So my sense of it is, not to monopolize the conversation, but my sense of it is that we are not alone in not knowing, what we want to know, that other communities at one point or another in their timelines have been in the same spot as we are. And many of them have then tried to solve the issue. And in their trying to solve the issue, we're likely to find in talking to them, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and maybe if it did work for them, what the model is that they're using. And that includes things like pay structure and commissions and so forth. And it may be that it worked for nobody, and even knowing that would be valuable.
Okay, so you want to compile questions? Do you want to bring it back for our next meeting? Or do you want to compile the questions and do it through email and start making our calls?
Personally, I'd like to start making calls if I could.
Yeah.
I've held back, but there are some places that I want to call. I haven't.
Anybody else? Len?
So back to the Otsego County IDA, years ago, it was set up that we were supposed to get a one point of contact. So if there was a business that said, hey, I kind of like Oneana, I want to find out more about them, we were supposed to have a one point of contact. So Gary, to add on to that list from Jody, I'd be curious of what businesses or entities have called them in the last, say, year, and what developed from those conversations. To your point, Dave, what data does that organization hand out to these potential phone calls?
Right. These are the questions I want to ask Jody when he comes to talk to the council, that I feel like even though we met with him, God, it seems like ages ago. Was it January, February maybe? I wasn't prepared to ask. I think I was just too excited with the info that he was giving us about potential projects. That really, looking back, they're just potential projects. But yeah, I think these are questions that he should absolutely be asked. I think I still have, maybe I don't. Do we have the list of places we are going to call, or if anybody is going to call a specific city or group, I would just recommend you forward that on to the rest in the group so we don't double the call. The one I was reaching out to was the Southern Tier 8. So I would say I'm still working on that until I get back to everybody and let you know what I found out. But hopefully I'll have something before our next meeting. Anything anybody wants to add to this? So it's, what I have right now is just as a quick rundown of where we are. Entrance signs we're postponing for next meeting for a discussion then. Water Street dumpsters, there's a meeting on November 4th at 2 p.m. Crosswalk, we are postponing until there's a problem. The website, they're going to be meeting, the staff is going to be meeting again this week with them. Let's see, Gary's going to follow up with the website to get some website information on the group that can put together demographics. And follow up with Otsego Now about having Jody attend our second council meeting in November. Compile questions. And make calls. Am I missing anything? No? Okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to discuss or bring up? No? Okay.
Can we talk about Mark's microphone more?
We can do that. I was going to suggest, Mark, that you just have to change the amplitude in your voice to match what you're missing, so you can talk loud and then soft. You just have to time it right. Otherwise, we're all going to go deaf because it'll sound like you're either yelling or we can't hear you at all. Mark, I'm really sorry. I'm teasing, but I know having a new computer, that just sucks. It really does. But if you want to come over and borrow my mic to try to isolate the problem, you're more than welcome. Just let me know. Okay.
Mark, can you get it fixed before 6 p.m.?
I'm going to try to switch to my wife's computer.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.